And we're back. It's season 2, and we've got a lot of thoughts we've been collecting since we signed off in December. We will share what we've been up to, our thoughts on the impact of the sensational heated rivalry, and the empathy crisis in the United States. All that and so much more coming up next. Welcome to Collect Your Thoughts. I'm Sean Millhouse, licensed professional counselor.
And I'm Jason LeCompte, also a licensed professional counselor.
Hey, Jason. We're back.
We're back. I know. I've been
Yeah.
excited about this ever since we did our little brainstorming session.
Yeah. Well, hi, everybody. I think we should say hello, act like we're not just the only two in the room, even though we are. But
Well, you know.
yeah, I think we've got a lot of different ideas, different I guess beginnings and transitions to new things, but also wanting to improve upon some of the other stuff that we've always liked.
Yeah.
Hopefully people noticed that our logo got a little bit of a facelift, made it extra, a little punch of color. Really wanted something that just felt very gay.
It is quite gay.
It's very gay, but you know what? In this goddamn world, speaking of this, is an aside, I'll promise to be quick on this, is I've been seeing these things where it's showing logo changes recently, where they'll show what a logo has been like for the last, 10 years. And then they show what the newest one is in 2025, 2026.
Yeah.
And all of the logos are just kind of getting sadder. They're getting less colorful. They're less shapely. They're just very simplified.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel, some of them looked okay, but a lot of them didn't. And so I don't know. That's what I was just like, we need more color. I'm not bowing down.
Yeah. No, I've noticed a similar shift towards like neutrality. And I mean, I can't talk, like my house is very sort of Asian gray and off-white, and but I like to punch it up with accents. So yeah.
I think we should talk about sort of how we're doing things a little bit differently. Hopefully, you guys who have been listening and been with us, or even our new listeners, which I guess maybe that's important too, to back it up and introduce ourselves again for our people that don't know us. Maybe they're jumping in for the first time. So
sure. Yeah.
Would you like to maybe introduce yourself, talk about what matters to you, what this podcast, hopefully the mission of it is to you, and I guess anything else that you think would be relevant for people to hear?
Sure. Yeah. So again, my name is Jason. I'm originally from Chicago. I live now in Bentonville, Arkansas. I've been a therapist now I was doing the math the other day. Like I'm in my 16th year of like study and practice, which is crazy to me that I've been doing it that long. But I was saying to a client the other day, I actually feel kind of like a seasoned veteran. Like I feel like I've earned some stripes and I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. Not all the time, but I just feel kind of settled into my job. So I'm gay, I'm married, I'm a dog person. I like to travel, work a lot with couples and individuals. What else? I mean, those are the nuts and bolts. You guys will, the more you listen, the more you'll get to know like a little bit more about us. But yeah.
Well, and I'm again Sean Millhouse. I'm originally from Kansas City, Kansas. I've been a therapist, I guess professionally, since it's been at least professionally 17 years.
At least 78 years.
Yeah. Which is weird because, I know I make this stupid joke all the time, but I'm only 24, so I don't understand how that math works. But anyway, I love walks on the beach, and no,
so romantic.
You will hear me yap about Taylor Swift. You'll hear me talk about TV shows that I love, but also in terms of the work that I do with clients, definitely enjoy working with the queer population, which is really how Jason and I even first connected, because Jason began a private practice with some other clinicians called Bentonville Counseling Collective. And almost 5 years ago, which is insane to think about, that's almost been 5 years since I joined
that,
y'all.
that you've been on board. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we really specialize working with people in Northwest Arkansas, but also other parts of Arkansas because of the
Mhm.
blessing of telehealth. And we really, I think, want to make sure that, especially in such a red state like Arkansas, that there is such a presence about queer people, diversity, and really celebrating that in a way that isn't turning the volume down to fit into the bubble of maybe what would be more acceptable. I think we really
Mhm.
try to be authentic as much as possible.
Yeah. At this point in our lives, like, this is our resistance.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is how I protest, right? As I put
yeah,
energy into the world I want to see and I want to create. It's a lot for me to go marching in the streets and holding picket signs and getting tossed around or what, or, whatever. So this is it. Yeah. This is how I want to fight back.
yeah. And we
Yeah.
also have 4 other colleagues that work with us, colleagues and friends,
That's right. Yep.
and 2 of them have been on our show with us and help co-host episodes, and that is
Yep.
Asher Morgan, Dr. Asher Morgan, and Elise Lunsford, who are also both licensed professional counselors. And
Yes.
and so anyway, hopefully if you haven't, you can go back and listen to season 1 and check out some of our other episodes that include them and also maybe what we're about, but also we really want to get into, I think, covering things in a way that feels very present and also maybe multidimensional. I think that that's kind of how I've been thinking about
Mhm.
it. Is I want these conversations to feel like we are hitting ground on the things that are light and fuzzy and bring us joy, but also some of the heavier stuff that we really want to face and challenge head on. And that I think is it's sometimes a hard balance, but then again, in the therapy space, that is something that we do
Yeah.
all the time. Like in one part of the conversation, you could be laughing, and then the next, you could, be sitting there holding space as they're bawling their eyes out
As it
over
often
something
is.
that is just
Yeah.
coming up for them. Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's just, yeah. So anyway, that is sort of our thing. So we are going to start with what we are calling this week's collection. And first up
Mm.
is really going over what we've been up to since we've been away. Sort of the good and hopefully not too much bad, but also, the life that we've been living over the last 3 months since we've been away. Tell our listeners what you've been up to since we last
Well,
saw each other.
I powered myself down and stuck myself back in my carrying case, and I've just been sort of dormant for the last. No, not really. Obviously, like we had some holidays that we were in there a little bit, but
Mhm.
one thing I really like about this is really kind of a recent thing that I've been leaning into, but is like the change of seasons and then the change in energy in my body. It's just something I've been paying more attention to. So truly, I've been just really downshifted the last sort of maybe 60 days, like really just allowing winter energy to just let me go slow and not expect a lot of myself or of my environment. So have had plenty of stuff going on, but I've just not been pushing to do like extra. It's just not where nature
Yeah.
is right now. So it's not where I'm going to be right now. So, but it's been good.
Mhm. Over that time, because I know there were breaks
Mhm.
in that time, there were,
Sure.
maybe just like you said, the slowing down part. What do you think is different compared to in the past when maybe you weren't honoring that part for you of
Ooh,
feeling like I can't just slow down despite the fact that everything in nature is
yeah.
hibernating right now?
Yeah. That's a great question. So I think the thing that's different is all of the self-loathing that is missing.
Mm.
There was this I mean, I know it sounds funny to say that, but truly like
No.
it was a constant struggle with guilt or shame or something around not being productive enough, not
Mm.
pushing myself, not getting things done enough. And part of my I don't know, my continual personal journey is to really honor my thoughts, my feelings, my needs. And that includes like the expectations that I have of myself. And then when I have internal feelings, to just stop and kind of grab onto them for a second and go, why do I feel guilty about it being January 15th? And all I want to do is sit on the couch and hibernate. Like, why do I have a sense of shame about that? And it's honestly like
Mhm.
cultural pressures, right? January 1st, we go, new year, new me, and let's get the year started off. And I'm like, truly, fuck that. I'm over that. That is
Yeah.
my phrase that my word that I keep coming back to is self-abdication. That is that's a denial of self. I am
Mhm.
running away from exactly what my body is telling me to do. So I'm over that. I am approaching, this is the year I hit 50. I am
Good, that's
over
great.
self-abdication. I'm not doing it anymore. And that's what's different is I'm not, hating myself for slowing down. How about you?
For the first time in a while, I got to go home and have the holidays with my family, which was really nice, but also really different. To back it up a little bit, in 2019 had been the last time I'd gone home for the holidays.
Huh.
And then COVID happened. And then I had elderly cats, and they had definitely health issues that made it difficult for me to travel and get away without doing a lot of different maneuvering to allow for that. And
Mm,
so luckily my family was great and would come down a lot of Christmases because it'd be easier that way. So I hugely appreciate that. But since my animals have passed, I was able to go home and not have to worry about that. And that is such a weird thing, that feeling of this normally would have been looking somewhat differently than what it
yeah.
has for many
Yeah.
years. But at the same time, I loved getting to see, especially with Thanksgiving, getting to see, aunts and uncles and cousins and having great holiday food and just all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And Christmas, was different too. This was I know I mentioned at the end of last season that my dad had passed away in January. And so it's always when you hit these first without core people in your life, it really is an adjustment. It's sort of
Yeah.
like there's this acknowledgement of the different space, but also, I don't know, it's just this acknowledgement that we just have to find a way to keep going and knowing that's going to be a little awkward. So I think we're kind of in rebuilding phase. At least that's how I sort of view everything
Sure.
going on.
Yeah.
I think this is a very transitional time, but anyway, and then I also got to take some time off for the holiday. I do that every single year. And that has been just so important. But I will say, since we've been gone, like, I mean, I'm just gonna just put out the world is just the world, and especially our country has just been, it's been testing me. And there's some really terrible shit going out there. And that is really hard to do this job as a
Mm,
therapist. It's just,
mhm.
again, I've been doing this for a while now, and this is definitely one of the hardest years. Even through COVID, it was different because I think, I don't know, it's a different set of situations, and we knew what to do to avoid danger, but now there are so many things that feel like they're in danger that it's hard to know what to do, how to do it, what's going to keep you safe, what is avoiding jumping into trying to do something right if you can. And
Yeah.
holding that space with clients, holding that space with myself, it's really difficult. How has that been like for you? Because I know that between the two of us, I definitely can become the more obsessive about the political stuff and the news stuff, and I'm guilty of letting it sort of eat me up. Even though I know it gets you too, but what has it been like on your side, just living in this country right now and being a therapist?
Yeah. I have. my own limits and boundaries around the amount of information and the amount of rumination that I'll do on those things. I can't really spend more than 10 to 15 minutes a day looking at news headlines and reading about what's going on. Like it's just, it's all meant to have an element of doom to it, which is the thing that kind of
Mm,
sucks us in and keeps us reading, right? So I'm really careful about monitoring that, but of course it's entering many therapy sessions. I have lots of clients who are worried about this, that, and the other, and so I really just try and bring it back around to what's within our control and what isn't. But I've had some gnarly discussions in the past few months about what needs to happen to shift this
yeah.
in the other direction, because it's not good. It's embarrassing on a global level that the US is not prosecuting people, not we just look like an authoritarian oligarchy right now, which is not what we're supposed to be. It's not this example we're
Right.
supposed to be setting, but that's just where we're at right now. So yeah, it's really hard to shut it out and not let it overtake, but then also acknowledge it and live in it and try and make headway in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you
I know.
Yeah,
Like I have to
right.
laugh it off because it's so heavy at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's also the hard thing too is even with that being said, it's like I want to come up with some sort of clever transition of, oh, do this or do that and you can get through it and blah 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 blah. But it really it's the very sober understanding that it just sucks. It really sucks. And I will say
Hey,
one thing. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, here's the thing that I kind of come back around to. People, a lot of people want to come in to therapy and work on their anxiety.
Hmm.
And my sort of joke, which is becoming less and less of a joke every week, is if you're if you don't have anxiety, you're not paying attention.
Mm,
So that means your anxiety is appropriate. You should be
that's
uncomfortable right
true.
now.
Yeah,
You shouldn't be
that's true. That's true.
dysfunctionally anxious, right? We don't want to completely lose all function because of our anxiety. But should you be uncomfortable? You're absolutely fucking right. You should be uncomfortable right now. This is a shit show, and we're not doing enough to reverse the direction. So there you go. That's my that's my real talk, my challenge. I mean, that's
That
just right.
is,
It's true. Yeah.
yeah. I think too, going back to you have mentioned it throughout the years, but you've definitely been living in it this year is really again honoring the idea of what we can do during the winter time and taking care of ourselves, restoring ourselves.
Hmm.
And I actually just saw a well, I received this New York Times. Well, it's called Well, I believe, and it's every Thursday. It's sort of like a breakdown of ways to be healthy in a very holistic way in many different ways.
Nice.
And it was actually all about now that we're sort of in the tail end of winter, how
Hmm.
are people coping? How are they giving themselves sort of that like you were talking about, giving
Hmm.
themselves that grace and permission to slow down. And people talked about I'm making soups constantly. People are talking about
Hmm.
I do more game nights right now. I'm,
Yep.
getting cozy with my TV shows and catching up on those and not feeling bad about that. Like it was a lot of people just saying, right now I am staying inside and if people want to get together, we usually go to more of a person's place as opposed to a external place just because we want
Hmm.
that coziness and comfort that comes with homes, I think, to an extent. It was just really cool to see that come up after we've been talking about it just in our own just regular everyday conversations
Yeah.
about how people are trying to find different ways to get through the dead of winter. And I think it just feels harsher because of the fact that all the external crap that's going on top of it. Like, it's hard not to connect the 2.
Yeah, it's hard to have that elevated baseline of anxiety or angst, and then and then try and shut it out, or try and relax, try and find some peace, some quiet when you right when when we're already sort of like subconsciously like elevated. So yeah,
Yeah.
it is encouraging to see people searching for that and really trying to lean into that and embrace that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, speaking of, I think transitions that sort of lean into how are people dealing during these times.
Yeah.
One gigantic blessing that we received in
Is
the last
Fox
3
News.
months, I'm not gonna even acknowledge that. Just not
Yes.
even gonna do it.
Okay, great.
Is a little show that sort of took the world by storm in such a
Or
way that was so unexpected.
yeah.
And that little show, it's called Heated Rivalry, which I know that probably for some people, they're like, okay, it's March. Why are y'all talking about Heated Rivalry that came out 3 months ago? But A, first of all, we haven't gotten to talk about it. And B, I think it's always important if there's anybody that likes a great, sexy, powerful love story, you're gonna love the show.
Mm.
And it's just taking our breaths away. So Jason, I want to hear, tell us a little bit about what is the premise of Heated Rivalry for anybody who does not know.
Well, it's about two professional hockey players who meet each other right at the start of their careers.
Mhm.
And there's I mean, from I think from the word go, like from the first scene, there is definitely a spark of chemistry as they're, introducing themselves to each
Yes.
other. And then it's about over and that first season, I was surprised at the however many years it covered, maybe 7 or 8 years, something along those lines. But it showed them like season to season, their teams meeting, being in the same city, and then like bumping into each other or making plans to bump into each other, and then hooking up in a hotel, and so we get to see them gradually over the course of that first season fall in love.
Yeah.
Essentially, like it becomes way more than sex for them. And then on the other side of it, there is sort of a secondary storyline: Scott and Kip. Scott is another professional hockey player, but Kip is a smoothie barista that he meets,
Mhm.
and they fall in love. And Scott's sort of like towards the tail end of his career. He's one of the seasoned veterans, but he realizes that like this is really important to him. He's never had a serious relationship. He really wants to live as an out gay man. And so then he also, and I feel like we're probably pretty safe at this point in terms of spoilers, right? We can
I
talk
mean, we'll
about
just
like,
say we're getting spoiler heavy
yeah,
in
we're
this
gonna,
conversation.
yeah,
So
yeah,
just if you don't, we yeah, fast forward to another time later in
right.
the
Yeah.
episode.
Just go ahead and skip forward. Yeah. But I
Yeah.
mean, Scott and Kip fall in love, and then they make a sort of a big public coming out kind of a thing. And that gives Ilya and Shane permission to kind of do,
Who are the main
elevate.
characters? I don't know if we've said their
Yeah, I
names.
don't know if we said that or not, but yeah,
Yeah.
Ilya and Shane. Those are the
Yes.
two. Yeah, played by the magnificent Connor Story and also the amazing Hudson Williams. Like both are
Yes.
just excellent. Like if you haven't seen or heard of specifically Connor Story, for me, you will, if you watch this show and then you don't know that this man is not Russian, a native Russian. He completely fucking fooled me. In fact, probably episode 2 or 3, I had to look him up. I looked him up and I'm like, this is a little country boy from Texas. And this man
Mhm.
sounds and speaks and behaves like, and I've met many, many ethnically Russian people in my life. I've had that privilege. It's unbelievable. So anyway,
Wow.
that's it's really cool. So they're both amazing. Anyway, so that's the premise. That's the sort of the main through lines in the show. And wonderful cast of supporting characters, really
Yes.
top notch writing, like the emotional immediacy that's available like in this. We can get more into it, but those are that's the highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I will say,
Mm.
on the other side, as yes, Connor's story is incredible. And I want to
Incredible. Yeah.
absolutely Hudson Williams, who plays Shane Hollander, is my boy. He is
Hollander.
Hollander. Uh, oh gosh, they're both so dreamy and their
Yeah.
chemistry is so incredible. And what I appreciate, especially about Hudson Williams' portrayal of Shane, is he is somebody who is on the spectrum. It's not something that is directly addressed in the show, but
Mhm.
the author who wrote the books that the series is based off of has confirmed this, and that was how
The
the
autism
actor.
spectrum, you mean, right? The
Yes,
autism
the
spectrum.
autism
Yeah.
spectrum.
Yeah.
And basically he implemented that into his character. And what I think what you were talking about earlier with Connor is very similar with Hudson,
Yeah.
is because he in pretty much anything you see of him outside of the show, he's this very like spicy, playful,
Yeah, kinda
flirty,
goofy. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, like goofy, but also just kind of a little hedonistic. And it just, yeah, and then his character Shane on the show is very buttoned up and
Mhm.
quiet, and you can tell is always sort of tortured and doesn't know how to express himself and is terrified of what's going to happen
Yeah.
if he were to do this. And so you find out through, first this hooking up, but then early on the viewer can see like, oh yeah, they're down bad for each other. Like this
Mhm.
isn't, as much as they're trying to be casual about it, it is absolutely sort of taking over their brains. And you mentioned there's so many beautiful elements about it. I was blown away by, I love cinematography. I love
Mm.
when a movie or television show, just, you can tell that the person who directed the episode put so much thought into how they wanted the scene to look every shot. And you can see that in this show over and over again. There are so many shots that literally you could probably freeze and turn into some artwork for your wall. Just put it on
Mhm.
canvas and it would,
Yeah.
be stunning. That's just how gorgeous it is. And what's even cooler about that is the fact that this show was made with very little budget. It's a little tiny Canadian show
Mhm.
that just got a lot of attention. And luckily, HBO Max for us in the United States decided to air it, I think because they saw the buzz online. I had seen it sort of percolating before the show came out that, oh, this
Mm.
show's coming out. And of course, I was like, oh, these boys are very cute. I'm going to at least check it out. And,
Yeah.
of course, then, my life was changed, I think. So I think, let's talk about that. The impact
Yeah.
of this show. What
Yeah.
would you say you've seen, what you felt?
Sure.
What do you think about this phenomenon?
Yeah. It's been really, I don't know, I don't know, impressive is the right word, or
Mhm.
cool to kind of see. So first of all, I just want to give credit to Crave Media. That's the name
Yeah.
of the small Canadian production company. I like to call out the little guys. Crave Media did just a phenomenal job producing this show. And
Yes.
Jacob Tierney too, who's the writer director. He's just phenomenal. Um, yeah, so to see how it's kind of taken social media, just everybody by the culture by storm. I think we
Yes.
were all sort of that's going back to the top where we're talking about the shit show circus that we live in right now in this
Yeah.
country, and even in Western civilization at large. It's been nice to have that respite, have that sort
Yeah.
of fantasy to escape to, just
Yeah.
on that sort of surface emotional level, right? Like we're all like, oh yeah, this is great. But then also, I think we're on the larger, like maybe larger or deeper cultural layers to it. Like I think there's something about Gen Z and maybe even millennial culture, like it craving a redefinition of masculinity. Like there's
Mm.
this representation of two truly masculine men in a very hetero-dominated sport finding out that they love each other. That it's not just sex, it's like they actually fall in love. Like that's a whole different cultural zeitgeist I think we're kind of getting into there, which I didn't know we were hungry for it, but I think we are. Like, I think
for sure.
There's deeper stuff there that we've been maybe craving. Crave Media, thanks. Maybe, right? Maybe we have been looking for a redefinition of, or permission to be other than whatever older generations kind of taught us about masculinity. What do you think?
Yeah? Absolutely. I think that that's a huge part of it. And I know that both of the actors talked about how they have received so many messages from professional athletes, specifically hockey players, who've said, this has been my life. This show like means so much to me. Thank you so much for doing this. Like, maybe one day I can have that ability to be out and not be afraid for what will happen with my career.
Yeah.
And that also, going back to what you were saying, like, it starts out, I think the hook, what's brilliant about it, the hook is that it is two gorgeous men in very sexy scenes. I mean, these
kind of Luke. I'm kidding. It's hot.
Oh my God.
It's totally fucking hot.
I was like, I know you like, we all like our stuff, but I was like, you're really going to be like, that was just like, I'm not, Are you
kidding? Are you kidding?
It's just, they did it brilliantly. The way they choreograph these scenes, the intimacy between the actors, which in real life,
that's the thing that will blow you away. It's the intimacy and the chemistry.
Yes,
that's the thing. Yeah,
are apparently best friends in real life.
Like, they're super close. Yeah, and it shows. It shows how
really
comfortable they are. Yeah,
but while it starts out, I think the sex is what goes oof. Like, damn, I gotta fan myself. It is, I think, this deep desire to watch love happen, and love that is so pure but relatable because of the fact that both of them, this is in our work all the time, struggle with communication. They both desire to be more vulnerable with each other, but they're terrified to do it. And so they're both kind of hoping maybe the one will say this or one will do that, and then one gets spooked, or one, is trying to help the other. And it's sort of this push-pull throughout it. And then
over years of time. Let's not forget that, right? This isn't 3 months of dating, 6 months of date. This is literally years and years. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so I think that people, we wanted something good and we wanted something pure, and also, like, pure can happen in the same space as sexy and erotic. And I think that that's something that maybe hasn't been
not always goes together, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of times you're just like, oh, it's a sexy thing or it's a romantic thing, instead of it being like, no, like, both can be true, but also it's also really funny. It's, I mean, what they did with so little, it just shows that people in Hollywood have been fucking it up left and right for years, because this show came in and did 6 episodes and were able to blow it out of the water, and everybody and their mother was talking about it. And then it's like, okay, what is your guys' excuses, fuckers in Hollywood, with your gigantic budgets and casting people that maybe are the same people we've seen over and over again, and not really investing in really good storytelling. Like, not every episode gets better, in my opinion. Like, every single episode gets better than the next.
That's one of the best things about this show, is that it just keeps growing. You're not just the enjoyment of it, but the story itself gets so much, I don't want to say juicy, because that makes it sound like it's supposed to be sexy, but like there's so much more substance in it, maybe. Like, you're absolutely right. Every episode is better. Yeah.
And just kind of builds on the next and then the next.
In fact, one of my favorite things on social media in the last couple of months has been like audience reactions to episode 5 and episode 6. Like group watches in bars where you've got 100 people going, just like losing their mind. This is really cool. Yeah.
I think that was, I mean, to me, that's also the part that tripped me up. I'm sure that you know even more than I do. I'm not trying to call you out for being older than me, but
You
in
can.
being older than me, we both know that in my time of growing up, like having shows about gay people that are loved on a mainstream level and
Yeah.
not ridiculed left and right, and for it to be a cool thing is unheard of in many ways. It's
Hmm.
usually this shit is niche and for, queer people
Yeah.
and only that audience maybe really invest in it the way, and then it grows from there. I think a lot of times a lot of shows begin as these things that queer people really lift up, and then everyone else catches on over time, which I know that happens with other marginalized populations. But
Sure.
this one, I mean, men, women, people are asked in interviews about it, like just
Hmm.
random celebrities, people, saying like, "Oh yeah, I saw it. It's something I can't stop watching, and I'm obsessed." And that to me, I think has been also something is that in these times of division, there is still this acceptance there or a desire for it, maybe even from
Mm.
people that are against those interests, which is always a difficult pill to swallow. But I mean, yeah, I mean that part to me has also been very important. Like, what do you think, especially as somebody that has has had times where queer film and television is not where this show is right now. Like when you were in your teens and your 20s,
Yeah.
what was that like for you compared to what you're seeing on Heat Rivalry?
Well, so it goes back to for me, and you're talking about like the studio, like big studio, Hollywood budgets and all that. Like I got neck deep in the indie film movement in the '90s. I've talked about it before, but it was so instrumental, so influential on my the development of my own sexuality, acceptance of myself. But not only that, like there were queer voices, there were queer stories in there, but not only that, like it was a vehicle for those smaller stories, like we're talking about, right? To get just more eyes on them, just to get to become part of the culture. So that's how I saw queerness in media kind of grow through the '90s, and then obviously like the big mainstream bust out was like Will and Grace, and so
Mhm.
looking back now, what is it, 30 years ago? Like, I don't even want to talk about how long
It
ago
came
that
out
was,
in I
but
think 99, 2000, Will
I
and
was going to say it's
Grace.
probably pretty close to 30 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
shit.
it's obviously like, if you like looking back, like obviously there's lots of stereotype in there, but those were honestly the first sort of quote unquote normal
Yeah.
at the time, mainstream gay characters, right? They're a little bit of
Yep.
archetype, a little bit of cliche or stereotype, but truly mainstream, and they weren't the tragic best friend who's dying of AIDS, and they weren't the silly hairdresser who has 5 minutes of screen time. They were the main
Yeah. Yeah.
characters, right?
Yes.
Totally game changing back then.
Yeah.
So the fact that we started there, and then obviously like we've integrated, I think, more and more just representation of
Mhm.
LGBTQ folks into Orange is the New Black.
Oh,
Is that
love
the
that show.
right? That was the first, like we had our first, at least to my knowledge, main a trans character in that show, right? Played
Mm,
by a trans woman. Like
yeah.
that was groundbreaking when that
Huge.
came out,
Yeah.
right? Shouldn't have been. We've had trans
Right.
people in our culture for as long as there have been people,
Right.
but the fact that we actually now could put someone out in front like that, right, and make them a star, was just really cool. So I don't remember what the hell you asked me because I've been
Just
rambling for the last
no,
five
no, no.
minutes.
Yeah,
But
just
yeah,
reflection on
yeah,
how,
sure,
like, to see where this show has come,
yeah.
especially in contrast to many things in our country right now feeling like they're going backwards.
Oh,
That to me,
yeah,
and also the relation to what you grew up with in your life in the
yeah.
past. Yeah.
So I remember where I was going with this.
Okay.
So for me, so I think Heated Rivalry now is less about representation and
Mhm.
more about permission for men to explore intimacy. And it's
Mm.
not about sexual romantic intimacy. It's about getting comfortable with what they're feeling and showing it to another person. To me, that's really like if you want to go deeper about this, about the reason it really resonated at a higher level, like, yes, it's lovely and wonderful and exciting and sexy and romantic. And we're all cheering for the main characters, right? And what we're really talking about is this is a different definition of masculinity that's still okay. To me,
Yes.
that's what gives me goosebumps to talk about, because that's what we're hungry for, I think. So that's why it really resonates on a deeper level.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and again, it doesn't help that they're both completely gorgeous men. I mean, everyone in the cast is beautiful.
Connor, I know you know it, dude, but that cake, bro. Oh my God. He has for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's the best butt on television.
They both have great asses. However, Connor Story's butt is on another level.
Fucking gold medals. Gold medal.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, just incredible. Yeah. So I thought at this point, let's break down, what would you say are one or two of your favorite moments from this first season of Heat of Rivalry?
So they're probably pretty widely known for the fans of the show.
Sure.
But I have one like really sort of the poignant one, and then one that's, where it's a little bit more cheering going on. But we didn't even kiss.
Shut the fuck up.
Of course, right? Of course we picked the same one.
Well, no, but I was going to, but I thought, it's a small moment. I did not think you were going to pick that.
Unbelievably massive moment. It feels in the moment like a small moment. It is not. It is the turning point where Shane realizes he is in love with Ilya, and he can't even admit it to himself, but he really wanted the intimacy, and it didn't happen that time. And he was like, fuck.
So break it down. Break down the scene for people, like what goes down with that.
So you're going to really test my memory on this, because I don't truly remember. But so
if you don't, I can't.
Well, so it's when they hook up in the hotel, right? They hadn't seen each other for a while. Episode 2. Yeah. Hadn't seen each other for a while. It's still very early, very new. They're still trying to figure out like what they, if they like, what they like. Is this just sex? Is it something else? And so they have this, like, I mean, it's a pretty erotic scene, like pretty hot hotel hookup. But it ends up, whatever headspace Ilya is in, he's not catching feelings. He's not letting himself catch feelings, but Shane is starting to. And so I think Shane was looking for more of that emotional connection in that hookup. And Ilya was like, I can only fuck this man, and that's all I can do, or whatever he says. So, and so they end up hooking up. They have a super hot night, and then Shane, I don't think Shane stays the night, right? He leaves.
No, he leaves.
He leaves. Yeah, so he leaves, and he's in the elevator on the way down, and he's like gonna text, and he's not really sure what to text. And he types some things, and he erases the types, and then one of the things he types is, "We didn't even kiss,"
but then erases it.
And then erases it, doesn't send it. It's just heartbreaking.
And it lingers.
Like, and then the episode ends.
It lingers. You see that. And it was because as a viewer, you can feel that that's what he's feeling. And then to see him actually type it out. And then I don't know how many times all of us have probably typed something vulnerable and then deleted it back because it felt too risky.
Too vulnerable. Too much. Yeah. Yeah.
And that moment,
and the camera's like right here on his face, and they're just God, it's good. Yeah. Yes. So that's my
and see, those are those moments I'm talking about with Hudson Williams. I think he does these quiet moments of pain so beautifully, which of course Connor does too. But anyway, I'm so glad you picked that moment. I was not expecting that from you. That's a great surprise.
Yeah. And then the other one, obviously, like, this was, kind of maybe everyone's favorite, but for me, it was about, so it was episode 5, and it's when Scott's calling Kip down from the stands. And it's not so much about that, even though that was great and I wanted to cheer for it. It was about how wrapped
Well, he
Shane
won
and
the
Ilya.
championship. I think we need to say, like, that's a big deal because Scott is a veteran hockey player who's
True,
never
that's true.
won. And
That's
so
true.
this is this big moment. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, this legendary hockey player's finally won. And all these other people are hugging their loved ones.
Right.
And then
Okay, fine. You're right. Okay.
I
So
wanted
yeah,
to set it up.
all right. That's the setup. Yeah. But for me, it was about how intensely both Shane and Ilya were watching that on television. It meant something completely different to them. It was not about their friend Scott winning the championship. It was about the permission that he just is about to give them. And they're like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Say
what is
what happened,
happening?
because we didn't say what happens when
He was so you're right. So everyone's like embracing loved ones on the ice,
on
and
the ice
everyone's
rink.
on the ice rink. Everyone's celebrating, all his teammates, everybody. And Scott and Kip are, Scott has realized over the course of a couple of episodes now that he is really in love with Kip and wants a relationship with him and wants to be out as a gay man. And so he's invited Kip and his friends to watch. They're at the championship game. They're far up in the stands, right? And he looks around and he realizes everybody is doing this, and I should be able to do this too. And so he gestures to Kip to come down. And Kip's like,
Me?
you sure? Like, is this? And his friends are like, the fuck, go get down there. Like, and he's like, okay. And then the announcers are like, oh, there's a fan coming down the steps in the stadium. And is he calling the fan down? Like, oh, that's really, and they're kind of like, they're allowing us to play dumb or, whatever, however they're narrating it. But then Kip comes out on the ice and Scott they just kiss right in front of everybody, right on national television,
big,
right on
beautiful, romantic, like movie.
It was
kiss.
awesome. Yeah, it was sweet and
cinematic.
Yeah, all the things. And so that, like, Shane and Ilya watching that
in separate places,
knowing that moment is going to change their lives, change their ability to advance their relationship, which is kind of like they're both kind of like on that precipice anyway. Magical, absolutely brilliantly executed.
So my moments, I knew that we would probably have overlap. My favorite moment, I think, in the entire show is when Ilya and Shane at the cabin they are, God, my English is great. My grandma is great. So they go to the cabin, they're spending all this time together. You're seeing them break sort of these walls down and you see the intimacy grow. And, they have sex and Ilya says, I love you for the very first time to Shane. First, Shane is like, or Ilya is essentially, he says it and there's definitely there's this pause. And I think there's this feeling of, oh God, like
it's an oh shit moment for him.
Yes. But then Shane says it back and then it's this beautiful moment and they talk about how fucking, like, how much they fucking love each other. And it's so like the relief they both have. I mean, it just will make you cry. It is so beautiful and moving to see these characters finally admit what they've known about each other for years at this point. Yeah. And to take it to this level of vulnerability. I just absolutely loved it. And then my other moment that I wanted to pick was talking about when so Shane's dad comes to the cabin and ends up seeing the boys in an intimate moment. And, they don't know that their son is gay. And so anyway, Shane is flipping out and Illy's trying to calm him down. And so they end up driving to Shane's parents' home. And what I wanted to mention was the beautiful scene of Shane speaking to his mother, Yuna, and her basically having this moment of feeling bad that she didn't know, but also wanting to reassure him that she loves him. And it is truly, if there are any parents out there who have kids, or even honestly anybody, but especially parents, if someone comes out to you, this is the perfect response to have. It is beautiful. It is moving. It's awkward, but it's so
affirming though. Yeah.
So affirming. It is
truly
so affirming.
Yeah.
And truly devoted to the idea of we'll figure this out. And what's
Yeah.
great too is, by, a little bit later in the episode, Shane's parents are, they're, super into, they're hockey parents. They've been in this with him forever, right? And so now she's thinking, because they're super successful hockey stars, like, oh, what are the endorsement deals we're going to do? What is this?
Yeah.
What is that? And, of
Yeah.
course, Shane is like, oh, God, no, 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 no. And so I just love that was her way of trying to show support for her
Hmm.
son after
Yeah.
he felt like he couldn't share those things. And that's in episode 6. So anyway, that's one of my favorite moments. But there's so many. I mean, we could just
Oh
talk
yeah.
about all of them,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
that would
Yeah.
that would take forever.
Hmm.
So anyway, I guess you would say we would recommend, if you haven't watched Heat Rivalry, please do so. It's on HBO Max. It's 6 episodes. The
Yep.
music is so good. The everything is good. I can't. I'm sure they feel so much pressure going to season 2, and I'm a little
I
scared,
Yeah, I
but
can't even imagine the sophomore curse is real. Like I've seen
yeah.
it and heard it many, many times with albums and
Yes.
shows and movies and whatever. I can only imagine it's going to be a rough, like our expectations are so high, right? We were
Yeah.
all so bowled over by it. So we're going to have to give them a little grace, but yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Well, especially when it's this unexpected thing out of nowhere. I think there's sort of
Yeah.
this freedom to not really worry about it, because you're like, oh well, maybe only so many people watch this, but I mean, who knows?
Right.
But to know,
Right.
like, no, the world is watching,
Yeah.
and especially I've even seen the things about it's wildly popular in Russia,
Wow.
and which is,
Really?
yes, but also being an out homosexual in Russia is illegal and can get you killed. And
Yeah.
so that's also part of what has been, I think, just super powerful about this, is that it's talking about so many elements of not just
Hmm.
on the intimate level, but also on a global level of
Yeah.
what are the stakes of their love.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Yeah.
anyway,
Hmm.
that is Heated Rivalry. So I thought, talking about kind of connecting it all together, the
Yeah.
last thing that I really wanted to talk about was empathy, which I think
Mm.
this show, it's sort of a way of helping us tap into empathy in a different way, in a very sexy way. But also, I have seen increasingly headlines in the news about empathy basically being this trait that is sort of associated with, I think, this snowflake ideology,
Mm.
or weak, or performative, and really seen as something not good to have. And that, of course, is deeply, deeply troubling to me,
Mm.
and hopefully most people. But I wanted to talk about that, and get your thoughts, Jason, on when you think about our capacity for empathy in this country,
Hmm.
as a whole, and
Sure.
what you've seen. Like, what do you think about it? Like, what are your thoughts?
So I want to start by maybe just calling out the difference between empathy and sympathy, because these terms
Yes.
get, I think, conflated and also confused. So empathy is about, so empathy is about really understanding what somebody is going through and imagining yourself in that situation so that you can tap into that feeling and really try and understand their experience. Sympathy is done where we get it and we remain a little bit distant from it. We don't involve ourselves or imagine ourselves in that scenario, right? So we can say, "Oh yeah, that sounds hard." That would be sympathy, right? But like empathy is more like, "I can't even imagine. That's terrible. I to be in that situation, blah blah blah." Right? So just to call a little bit of it, call that
Yeah.
out a little bit.
Yeah.
So I do, yeah. So I talked about this, gosh, in a session a while ago about and I'm not gonna come down on screens and technology completely, but
Oh
this is
God,
what I
no.
was but I was talking about them in the context of little micro moment learnings that I think a lot of kids and teenagers miss when they spend so much time on their screens. So there are, I mean, probably hundreds of little micro moments each and every day that if your eyes are down, you're going to miss.
Yeah.
If your eyes are up and you see body language shift, you see an interaction, you see how somebody treats a pet, or you see siblings interact, or you see, there's just so many more little micro moments that's the information then that we take in and we learn and we filter that allows us to then relate to other humans. That's one way that we develop that. But that learning is missing from about half
Mm.
of our population, roughly, right? Like we
Yeah.
have now 30 years of pretty intense screens. We've got 15 of having our iPhones in our pockets at this point. Well, 17, 18, whatever it is. So like we have at least 2 solid decades, right? Of pretty focused, intense screen time. That's a lot of learning missing from our general public.
Yeah.
That piece I think erodes the ability for empathy to exist on a larger scale. The other thing that I think is really impacting it is sort of the polarization that we have going on in our country in
Mm.
terms of politics and, quote unquote beliefs and people's right to exist and to make choices about their bodies and et cetera, right? We have so much polarization. And then also, again, with the internet's influence on disposability, right? If I don't like something, I click and 2 seconds later, I have the thing that I do like, that I do want to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things, I think, really, they don't make us sit in the moment. They don't make us sit in our discomfort and strive to understand. We just toss it out, move on, toss it out, move on. So again, if we've been trained to and have lost a lot of the ability by looking down into our screens all the time, and then we also have this sort of cultural ethos where everything is polarized and everything is dispensable, we don't ever really feel the need to sit in our discomfort and spend time thinking about what we might feel like in that situation.
Yeah.
So we're missing it. Like we've truly missed it's lacking, and I think that's why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just when I wanted to talk about this topic, one of the things that came up was an article on this website called theconversation.com.
Mm,
And it was talking about Charlie Kirk, who was a conservative activist, I think most people
mm,
know, who was
mhm.
assassinated last year. And the heading is Charlie Kirk's legacy is the beneficiary of empathy, but he couldn't stand the term. And basically, a quote that he said was, I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made up new age term that does a lot of damage, but is very effective when it comes to politics. Sympathy, I prefer more than empathy. And when I read that, I'm just like, that is exactly the problem, is because, and I'm kind of shocked that it's taken us this long to bring her up, but our girl Brene Brown, when she talks
Yeah,
about empathy and sympathy, is that essentially sympathy is saying, "Ooh, I feel bad that you're in pain, but I'm gonna witness that from over here. I'm
right.
not gonna
Keeping
be
some
in it.
distance.
I'm not
Mhm.
going to imagine the circumstances of that pain or that situation or
Right. Yeah.
for whatever differences. I'm not gonna allow myself to get that personal." So there's a detachment that happens.
Mhm.
And I think that's truly what has happened in this country because of many things, but definitely politics, is we have become so othered from each other. We're starting to do this. I need space from you because I don't know how to be around you. I don't know how to relate to you. I've heard things about you, so therefore I don't like, in terms of your belief system or this or that. And some are true, right? Some of
Mm,
these things are for safety. I definitely do not want to associate with anybody who is claiming MAGA as their belief system, which
sure.
is terrifying for many reasons. But also, it's keeping people, specifically, I've seen it even in churches, they're talking about empathy being problematic, which is like, Oh my God. If I mean, like, what? Like, isn't that the whole point of spirituality is to believe in a higher good that makes us be better people, hopefully? But
It's 100% the whole point of Christianity.
true.
I won't profess to be an expert on Christianity, but spent 12 years in Catholic school
Yeah.
and learned a lot about the teachings of Jesus Christ. And to not have empathy, it's literally in the writings around that. So
Yeah.
the people who profess to be quote unquote Christians in modern day and don't follow those teachings and don't try and develop empathy for their fellow man, they're not truly Christians. So yeah, that is disturbing though to hear that it's actually being like proselytized in church from the pulpit. That's the antithesis of Christianity.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what would you say gets lost when we lose empathy? What
Oh,
happens to us?
I mean, our understanding of others. What gets lost is, I think, our ability to just understand other people. There's a not just the willingness. That's the actual lack of empathy, but the ability. Then, if we don't
Mhm.
practice it and we don't want to practice it, then we're really detaching ourselves from our other fellow humans.
Yeah.
And again, like Renee would say, and I mean, so would I at this point, right? I'm 15 Gen. I can claim this. We desire connection. We know this.
We're social
We,
creatures. Yeah.
we thrive on it. It's necessary for our survival.
Mhm.
When we detach and start to refuse to understand the people around us and their experiences, we're not only pulling away from them, but we're also putting up walls and pushing them away from us. Right? We're not going to go seek it, and we're also not going to allow them to seek it with us.
Yeah.
So now we're all walking around disconnected when we're actually wired to survive on connection. So we're shooting ourselves in the foot by doing that.
Yeah.
Truly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the biggest scale possible that I can think about it. Like, that is truly what is lost. There's probably dozens of other smaller things, but what comes to mind for you?
Yeah. I think that that's right there. It definitely connection is the first thing.
Mm,
Also, I think just humanity is lost. Like, to
mm,
me, that is what separates us from other creatures is that we actually, at least to our knowledge, we don't know exactly what animals and
sure.
other creatures think, but we actually know we have a capacity to think these things and to do things that strengthen these
Mm,
emotions or to build upon just giving a shit about people.
mhm.
And so when we eliminate that from ourselves or we weaponize it as it's blinding us from things that we should allow for. Like, for example, I know a lot of it is in terms of ice. They basically, there's this belief that, some people, I hear this all the time in sessions from people who regularly have conversations with those who think that what's going on in the country is okay, who will say, us is just doing their job and we need to, let them. And if people didn't go and show up, then they wouldn't get hurt and blah, 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 blah. And basically doing this whole other song and dance instead of being like, well, but are you looking at the actual footage? Are you seeing the practices? Are you reading the actual research documentation of the lack of training that these people are receiving in terms of doing the job as it's supposed to be done
Uh-huh.
when done legally and in its, I think, most ideal means. And when we lose that, we cruelty happens. And I think that's where
Yeah.
we're living in this cruel space
Yeah.
where it just feels like it's just getting crueler and crueler. And basically, the other side who believes that this is problematic wants to just say, well, this is what's best for people. We need to be tougher, and we don't have room for empathy if we're going to be tough. And I just think if we're going to aim for toughness as the limits of what makes a good human or a good country, we're fucked. We're fucked.
Yeah. the thing that sells it for me is not so much the procedural errors, even though there's definitely, with
Oh,
that definitely
yeah,
needs
that's
to
just
be
an aside.
no, I get that. For me, like if we're talking about losing our humanity and a lack of empathy, can you imagine your own 5-year-old kid being taken away from you and sent into a prison? And now you no longer, like, I don't care who you are, if you have any sort of understanding of human development or human attachment, or how much terror a 5-year-old can experience, how this is still another human being. I don't care what color their skin is or what their documentation status is. I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
How can you say that they're just doing their job? There's nothing more inhumane than tearing a child away from its parents. So don't tell me that they're just doing their job. You've forgotten that this is a human being that's being mistreated. You've forgotten.
And I think that's what's
That's
happened. That's right
that's
there.
the long and short of it for me. That's as much explanation as it needs, that we are doing the wrong thing. We are absolutely doing the wrong thing. And it happens dozens and dozens of times, hundreds and thousands. It just keeps happening. And we're going, oh my gosh, not again. Oh my gosh, not again. So there's another layer to this though. I think part of it is information overload.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is a lack of practice. But I think the other piece to why some of the general public is down on empathy is because we are really burned out on being able to care about other people, right? There's so much terrible shit happening, and we keep trying to absorb all of it and take it all in. We can't possibly have empathy for all of that. So we reduce it to sympathy. Oh yeah, gosh, that's terrible. Oh yeah, gosh, that. Oh yeah, gosh, that. But we have to figure out a way to start to care again, so that we don't have so much detachment from all of the terrible shit that's happening. We have to,
if we're going to survive. Yeah.
If we're going to survive as a country, as a people, as if we're going to have any sort of humanity, any sort of global standing, any sort of moral compass to sit back on, like all of that is being eroded and destroyed right now. All of it. And
all of it.
And we're doing it to ourselves. So yeah, I don't have a solution. That's just my
ironic. Is
I know.
My final question on this is,
I know,
how do we find empathy for others when it feels impossible?
So I'll give two things. Okay. And maybe this is yeah. So one thing is I think, again, reducing the amount of information that we take in. We just need to do ourselves a favor and stop trying to gobble up and consume. Like we're talking about media is also a diet, right? Just like food and drink and substances and anything else, media is also a diet. We have to put ourselves on a more restricted media diet. We have to. That's part of it. The other part I think we could probably benefit from, and I don't remember where I read this, but whoever came up with this idea, I would just want to give them credit. 2 ways that we can build more empathy. One, reading. There is something about having to sit and read and witness a character's story and not be able to object, not be able to fight back, not be able to disagree, not be able to argue. Like we have to just witness their journey and try and put ourselves in their place and understand how they're feeling in order to get anything out of the story, to really understand what's happening, right? So there's something about being able to read and witness at a quiet, like it's a quiet level. Like I think it slowly, surely builds our understanding of other humans, right? On what they go through. And the other way that I think we can do that is, if you're not a big reader, I would say go to live theater.
Oh yeah.
Live theater does something very similar. There are stories being told in front of you on stage. And in order for you to really understand what's going on, you have to sit and try and relate to what the characters are, what's happening to them, right? Is it heartbreak? Is it loss? Is it joy? Is it connection? It's something, right? And if you can get there, if you can witness and connect and relate, then you're going to be able to understand fellow humans, other people, right? That are actually around you.
Yeah.
So those 2 things, reducing our diet of consumption so that we have a little bit more resilience, and then also really trying to really building some understanding. I think those 2 things are important.
Yeah. To sort of, I guess, tack on to that answer in my own way
Mhm.
is yeah, I think that's why it is so important to consume media that is different, that is talking about stories that are completely foreign to your life, but completely in agreement that reading is truly the only way that your mind with your experiences and your thoughts takes it and then does things with it and performs things with the words that you're seeing on the page,
Mhm.
and but then can turn into something new, because there's always those quotes out there about, you want to live millions of lives,
Mhm.
read books, because that's essentially what you get to do.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe that the other challenge is to think about, if there is a population of people that you don't understand,
Mhm.
in a good way, or just in a you haven't extended your curiosity to that place, maybe that's the challenge, is I'm gonna learn about cultures and people and belief systems that are not my go-to, so that I can just have a cultural education on the world, and to know that that's a good thing. Like, I don't know, I guess also, like, I think our content is just so different, in general. Like, I mean, I remember as a kid, seeing like the animated cartoon of the "It's a Small World After All" kind of thing. Like, I just felt like as a kid, I saw so many messages
Mm.
about love and inclusion. And I remember, God, we would play that "We Are the World" song.
Oh
With my
god, yeah.
mom loved,
Mhm. Yeah.
that when we were kids, and so it's just, you don't hear about stuff like
Mm.
that anymore. I
Mhm.
do think, as many times as there are flaws about things in the past, I do think there was definitely this attempt to continue talking about it in a way that felt maybe hokey, but like you knew it was coming from a good place.
Sure.
And I don't think we have that global view of things anymore. I think we really do we've become very, like, this is my tribe and I got to protect my tribe. Well, not all us. A lot of people in this country believe that way,
Sure. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can't. We can't do it alone. We cannot do it alone. We are seeing the repercussions of that in our country, because other countries don't want to trust us anymore, because they don't like how we are treating other places and our own people.
And
And
our own
therefore
people.
we're losing resources, we're losing
Yeah.
trust, and that's
Mhm.
going to bite us in the ass when we need help from our allies.
Yep.
And also when we need people in our cities and in our states to come together for things, we have to be bigger than this bullshit narrative of what is on social media and what is on 24-hour cable news. Like, it's
Yeah.
just, we have to turn off, but we have to turn on other things instead.
I have a theory. You might disagree with this theory, but I'm gonna toss it out there.
Okay.
I think part of the undoing of our ability to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes, right? To
Hmm.
understand what they're feeling. And that requires us to be uncomfortable. That is essentially distress, right? We're under
Yeah.
distress. So we don't have a whole lot of tolerance for that. We have to build our distress tolerance. Well, one way that I think we're offloading and not we're working against that. We're not building distress tolerance, I think, is the double screening that so many of us do. Where we're watching something and then we're checking out on our screens, on our phones, right? And then we might go back to it and then we might go and I think what we're doing, I think we're we're regulating. I think we're
We think we are.
using well, but I think we're using the small screen as a distraction from the feelings that might be coming across on the bigger screen. Like
Mm.
when we watch a show, right? If and I'm gonna put this out there, if you're gonna watch Heated Rivalry, put your fucking phone in the other room. Actually watch the show and get into the feelings. But I think that's part of what we're doing is we're not giving ourselves the chance to build distress tolerance because we're checking out from whatever it is that we're watching, whatever television or movie that we're watching, and we're going to our
Mhm.
phones. So that's just one theory, and one small way that I think we're eroding that chance. But
Oh, I completely agree with that. If
yeah,
anything, that is something
yeah,
that I'm just doing for my own life, is when I am watching things,
hmm
I am putting my phone like in a like either face
Away.
down
Yeah.
or like shoved in a cushion or away from my arm to be able to grab it, because I know that oh God, I don't know how many times I've done the rewinding and watching the same part,
It's dumb, right?
the
Yeah.
same 10 seconds of dialogue that I keep missing. And like, it's like my brain gets distracted and I do it. And I'm like, motherfucker, stop, put down your phone,
Yeah.
Sean.
Mhm.
Like,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
so so
Stop wasting your own time.
yes, because yeah, you can't be fully present. It's
Right.
like
Right.
the great Ron Swanson from Parks and Recreation says, don't half-ass two things, whole ass one thing.
Uh-huh.
And so I just think that that's what we got to do. We got to get
Yeah.
back into whole ass living.
Mhm. Yep.
So
Yep.
anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
those are our takes on empathy.
Yeah,
And
for sure. Yeah.
we solved it. So we're good now. Everything's
That's it.
fine.
That's it. Put your phones down.
I think this was our last episode. I think we can just say we did, we did it, Joe.
We did
Oh
it,
boy.
Joe.
Rip.
Mhm.
All
Yeah.
right. So as always, we like to give our listeners and viewers maybe some takeaways.
Mm.
And I'm curious, Jason, what would you say is a takeaway of something that from either our conversation or just anything in general that
Yeah.
you have thought about that you would like anyone listening or watching to take away from our episode?
From just today's episode. Sure. Watch You Did Rivalry. Just enjoy the heck out of it. Get whatever you want to get out of it, but it's at bare minimum, it's a quality show about two people falling in love, and it's
not safe for work.
it's pretty right. It's not. Yeah, don't watch it at work. Don't watch it at work. Watch it at
or
home.
with young children.
Yes, correct. There's definitely some adult scenes in there for sure. So yeah, maybe it's age appropriate venues, but Watch You Did Rivalry, it's really excellent. And I mean, I would say if you know that you desire, so this is one of my favorite things to say to couples when I'm doing couples work is if you feel like something is missing in your relationship that you really want more of, you try putting it into the relationship and see if you get it back. Right. So if you are feeling disconnected, if you are feeling lonely, if you are feeling like you lack community, if you are feeling like you don't understand people or people don't understand you, maybe turn that focus inward and see if you can build some understanding of others and you try and connect with others and see if you get a different outcome, right? Instead of saying, woe is me, or I'm the victim, or nobody likes me, or whatever it might be, put yourself out there a little bit more. It's scary, it's weird, it's awkward, and other people want that too.
Yes.
We desire connection, so go make it.
I love that. That's great. I almost don't want to do mine just because yours is so good. No, mine's really basic. This is your call to action to go outside, get some fresh air. Just seriously, there here in Bentonville, in Northwest Arkansas in general, but definitely in Bentonville, we have amazing parks. I think I've talked about it before, and I just think go outside, go sit at a park bench, go utilize the courts that are available, pickleball or basketball or whatever. Or there's plenty of just sitting areas, like, bring a little picnic, get some fresh air, go outside. Remember how beautiful this world is when you don't have stupid talking heads like us that are, I mean, we're not, whatever. We basically take what you can, but also just get outside and disconnect. You don't have to do anything expensive. Just literally get outside, do it for 10 minutes. I guarantee you will feel a little bit better. I'm not saying it's going to perform miracles for you, but there's no way you're not going to be like, okay, I got to shift out of that. And that to me is completely worth it. So get the fuck outside.
Yeah, I like it. Good takeaway for sure.
All right. So this is now the part of our episode where we ask each other. We used to just do one question, but after last time we kind of were like, maybe it'd be fun to just like both of us have a secret question that we ask the other and that we can also answer ourselves.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if Jason, you wanted to go first with your secret question?
Yeah. So I want you, Sean, to imagine that you are a smoothie barista. and
Name
a
Kip?
nice looking young man. No, named Sean. You, Sean.
Okay.
And a nice looking young man named Hudson comes in and starts flirting with you and asks you out on a date. Where are you going on your first date? It's the best first date ever. Where is it? Where does it
I
happen?
mean, well, first of all, just to go into, I'm right now, I'm kind of just like paralyzed with joy. And also, like, I got
I
that,
knew
like,
you
the
would like
butterfly
that.
feelings of like,
Uh-huh.
oh my gosh, this is happening. Oh, I'm so nervous. Oh, like, oh gosh, where are we going? I mean, it's also, so okay, if it's like ideal circumstances, I live somewhere where there's beautiful scenery. So hopefully
Oh yeah,
near like water or beach. I'm obsessed with like
lovely.
big bodies of
Yes.
water. I mean, it'd be really cool if like we went to some kind of a restaurant that had like an outdoor view
Ooh,
of
yeah.
like the water, and we just do that. And then, oh gosh, I love going to bookstores. So maybe then going to a bookstore
Mm.
afterwards. And then, like maybe we could go, like, if we're feeling cute, maybe go get some like custard or ice cream or something.
Nice.
And just,
Mm-hmm.
I really want to get to know. So I was like, I used to be like, oh, movies, but like you don't get to know people if you go see a movie together, especially on the
Right.
first date. And we'll see where the night
That
takes us.
sounds lovely. That sounds lovely.
But yeah, very basic, but also I like just the idea. Good conversation and beautiful views will get me every time. And so if the beautiful view is not only Hudson Williams, but also the nature around him, I'm just gonna I'll probably just die at the end of the day because I'll be like, well, there's no up from here. Like I have maxed out. This is the best of the best. So
Great. Great.
anyway, that's a great question. I
I
love
knew
it because
you'd like
mine
that.
is
I
the
knew it. Yeah.
complete opposite,
Oh, great.
which is tell me, Jason, an area of your life where you feel like you struggle expressing empathy.
When I'm driving.
I guess I should have thought about that. That was probably too easy.
That was an easy one. I
Yeah.
really do not put myself in other people's shoes when I am driving. I really don't even have any sympathy.
No.
I just expect that everyone should be driving with the same efficiency and awareness and decision making skills that I have behind the wheel, and that's ridiculous at face value.
It is.
But I allow myself to get all riled up about it anyway. So I really do need to practice a little bit more empathy when I'm behind the wheel.
That's so tough. It is. I know you and we talk about this ad nauseum, but
it's
Jesus
just
Christ.
tough. Yeah, I mean, I have big city driving skills, and I live in a small town that is quickly becoming a bigger town, and so it just doesn't work. Like I'm
Yes.
forever going to be tortured unless I just allow myself to just settle down behind the wheel.
All right. And last but not least, shout outs.
Mm.
So, for anybody who doesn't know, our shout outs are a thing that we take from our very own meetings at Bentonville Counseling Collective, where we shout out either one or multiple things that we are grateful for, that we appreciate, that we want to give awareness to, anything like that. So, Jason, what is this episode's shout out for you?
I mean, there's so many that I can choose from.
Which is a good problem to have.
I mean, it is. It truly is. One big shout out is maybe to some found family that I have, Matt and Ling, and their two gorgeous kids. I talked about them last season, but Henry and Bella, and I'm one of their godparents. My husband is the other one. They introduced us to the idea of celebrating the Lunar New Year because they have some Chinese Malaysian heritage, and I really enjoy now like reading about and kind of keeping awareness around like what is the year that I'm in and that is wrapping up, and what is the year that's coming, and I can kind of like look forward to, and where the Venn diagram of those things kind of cross over, right? And so my energy, my headspace, my focus has really been about like the year of the snake was about letting go of things, and the year of the horse is about
Yeah.
forward momentum and leading with courage, and all of that is really kind of in my heart right now. And so that's my big shout out, is not only celebrating a Lunar New Year, but I mean just found family. Like it's just really such a great gift. How about for you?
Yeah. Okay, so my shout out, this is one that I mentioned already within our group, but I can't, I'm obsessed with it, is Charlie XCX's album
Mm,
Wuthering Heights, which is
you were
essentially a
talking about
companion
that,
album of the movie
the
Wuthering
movie.
Heights that just came
Mhm.
out based off, of course, the classic book by Emily Bronte.
Right.
And I still haven't seen the movie, and I know there's lots of thoughts about the movie, but then again, if you know Emerald Fennell's work, you probably should know what you're getting into. If you've seen
Mm,
Saltburn and you didn't like it, you probably won't like Wuthering Heights. But anyway, Charlie XCX was asked by the director, Emerald Fennell, hey, will you do a song for this movie I'm about to film?
mm,
And Charlie XCX read the script and loved it so much that she said, hey, can I do multiple songs? Can I do an album? And so essentially it's this album that is merging classical elements with gothic pop, with electronic, and it's over the top. It's super, I mean, it talks because Wuthering Heights is about essentially toxic romance and
sure.
basically on many fronts. And this album really, I mean, it talks about love in the way that I think when people joke about, I mean, joke with truth in it, is that
Mm.
love, falling in love is often a mental illness. That's really a lot of the songs on this album feel that way. You feel sort of the madness, you feel the craving, you feel all of the different, I don't know, the energy of it is so incredible. And so
Mm,
anyway, if you are into music that is experimental, but also beautiful, but also like really like ugly in parts, but on
mm,
purpose, it's a journey. So for anybody out there who loves music, especially like really kind of avant-garde mainstream pop music, which is, I know maybe sounds like a oxymoron, but it's just I can't stop listening to it. And then I wake up every day and the songs are just playing in my head. Like it's just
wow.
I'm
Yeah.
stuck in it, and I'm just like, take me there. Just I just want to just take me to the moors. So
Yeah,
anyway,
nice.
that's my shout out is Charlie XCX's album Wuthering Heights. You should stream it now.
Excellent. I like it. Yeah.
All right, guys, we did it. We did it. We got to the end of our first episode of season 2,
We're back.
and
We're officially back.
we're officially back. Also, last reminder is that I'm not sure about other states. I really should have looked this up beforehand, but I know in Arkansas, for anybody who's hopefully listening to this on the same day of
Mm,
this episode coming out, is that we are having our primary elections, and
mm,
March 3rd is the day of election. And that's when this episode's coming out. So please, please, please go vote. Go vote. It is
mhm.
so important, even if you're not sure if your vote's going to count, even if you live in a state where maybe it is up against a higher number of people who are voting against what you're voting for. It's important to document that people are pushing for things, to see the numbers, to see the changes, to see growth. And if we
Yeah.
don't do that by showing up at the ballot box, change never happens because it's not reflected in the data. So, do not let the terrible shit that's happening right now stop you from exercising that right. I just really want to get that out there. So if you
Good call.
haven't,
I like it.
go fucking vote. All right. Well, Jason, thank you so much for
Yeah,
collecting your
thanks, Sean.
thoughts with me.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
I hope everyone at home, if you get a chance, please rate our show if you choose to. I mean, 5 stars would be great, but, I want you to be real. But also subscribe and follow us we actually have a brand new Instagram handle to sort of simplify things. Collect Your Thoughts is getting its own Instagram. So
Yeah.
you can find us now at Collect Your Thoughts Podcast on Instagram, and also at the same YouTube at Collect Your Thoughts. And also, we will have many other developments coming up this year that hopefully are going to be exciting for our listeners and definitely for us. So,
Yeah.
anyway, with that being
Fantastic.
said, I hope each and every one of you takes a nice deep breath and
Collects your thoughts.
all right. Thank you guys
Thanks.
so much. Have a good one.
Bye.